run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation, the exclusive InfoWars Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin, the most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Supplies of Secret 12 are very limited. Secure yours today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put 2 and 2 together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds. Is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. You don't have to be a doctor to know. The fall and winter months are the most dangerous time of year in North America when it comes to you and your family's health. InfoWarsLife.com is very excited to announce our biggest run yet of Silver Bullet colloidal silver, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. Now more than ever, it's important to stock up on high-quality Silver Bullet from InfoWarsLife.com. No survival chest is complete without Silver Bullet. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Silver Bullet.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight in Austin. Joining us on the road is Alex Jones, and we're talking about the Second Amendment. Alex, how do we pull this back? How do we pull back this bureaucratic executive order to take our ammunition?
Well, the only time I've ever had success in my life is when I get angry and get focused and actually state what's going on versus the rhetoric they put out. The FCC claims they're protecting the internet. Well, they have no business regulating it.
Yes.
The Patriot Act is not patriotic unless you're patriotic to tyranny. All these Orwellian names. And when I was 20 years old, they were trying to pass laws in the State House here in Texas. And people ask how you defeated. I'm going to kind of tell it in a story, a parable, a true story, but an allegory. And I went down to the State House. I went and got involved in the different Second Amendment organizations because they were going to ban people under 18 being able to shoot guns with their parents. The different shooting clubs, the YMCA, you name it, they were going to ban gun shows. I understood that that was a move to take our guns, not a move to protect the children. Not that I was a rocket scientist, I just knew that was fundamental. By getting politically involved at one level, I then became somewhat seasoned and learned about how other things worked. And I'd also studied a lot of history, so I wasn't doomed to repeat it. I understood classical forms of manipulation, deception, and oppression when I was witnessing it. We have a politically and geopolitically and culturally illiterate population on average. Now, the globalists have done that so that they are dealing with basically a population that's ignorant. That goes without saying. But that actually is a downfall for the system, because we can wake up their people that they've been controlling very easily with crash courses in history and common sense, because ingrained in them are still the instincts to recognize what's happening. And there are a lot more of us that are awake and understand what's going on out of the sea of dumbed-down people than there are globalist controllers. So we really have the leg up, the initiative on so many fronts. You ask, how do we defeat it? I want to get your take on it. I want to get listeners' take on it. And I want to ask listeners, we're about to go right back to in a moment, what they think the next shoe is to drop. But David, I think we label this what it is. Not, hey, come on, the cops say this is hardly used in crime, and hardly ever shoots a cop. And, why are you doing that? And no, you're setting the precedent to ban almost all ammo. You've said you want to go after the Second Amendment. You've done it. You promised you wouldn't. You've been caught staging a false flag. You are criminals that want a totalitarian takeover. While you arm against us, you want us disarmed. It's very simple. You are criminals. And once you just raise the rhetoric to that level, that's what defeats them. They're always, don't have rhetoric, don't be aggressive, don't say radical things. Well, when they're radically power grabbing, we have to state what they're doing. And yes, it's going to sound radical because we're just a mirror of what they're doing. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction, Newtonian physics. So, A, we got to get mad, we got to get stirred up, we've got to get aggressive, and we've got to take liberal, trendy brainwash heads out to shoot guns religiously. All of us have to pick one of these victims, one of these conditioned jellyfish slaves of the state, and not call them names like I just did. I know it's hard, but lovingly understand these are brainwashed creatures who didn't have fathers that taught them how to skin a buck or run a trot line. These are people that don't get independence. These are people that don't get having a gun in your house, not because you live in fear, but because you live in strength. We have to get people into guns, get people into self-defense. We have to promote the family. We have to explain that the enemy is trying to bring us down. We have to come together and not just attack the feminists at the low level, because they're just victims as well. Explain to them how it's a disempowerment social engineering program. Show them the different documents and proof. And people are ready. People understand that the trendiness, that the system hasn't delivered. They're ready to come out of Egypt. They're ready. We have to go, as you said, and have sit-ins at Boehner and other traitors' offices until they begin impeachment hearings of Obama for this outrageous gun grab and the borders being wide open. We have to understand that we've sat back and been lazy for so long, thinking that, oh, America will just go on forever. There's so much prosperity. But that's not the case now. We have the baubles, the trinkets, the signets of wealth, but the spirit of freedom that helped generate all this wealth is dying right now at so many levels. It's also being rekindled at so many levels. So it's a minute-by-minute, second-by-second battle that we're involved in. We've got to have sit-ins at their home offices of the Congress people. We've got to get aggressive. We've got to go out and protest the ATF offices. We've got to go, I've done that before. We've got to have rallies at capitals. We've got to call the media. We've got to get aggressive. And we've got to also say, look, we're not backing down. We're not turning our guns in. If you want them, come and take them. And then we have to know if the enemy, the minute they bomb a federal building, we've got to drive there, whoever's closest, and videotape. The globalists are so obvious, they'll probably be walking around putting bomb casings in the back of their ATF vehicles like last time. I mean, the ATF was just loading the bombs with the FBI and staying in the hotels in front of everybody. And people would say, what are you doing at Oklahoma City? And they'd say, oh, we're doing telephone work, putting big gray sticks of butter in the walls. I mean, wiring a building takes weeks. And, there's all these, quote, handsome guys. I've had the witnesses on, Jane Graham and others. And I guess they are kind of handsome, hardcore killers. German intelligence was there, you name it, loading up the building with bombs. Next time you see that, start videotaping. We are the HUMET. Just because we don't wear black suits and have sunglasses and talk into our sleeves, we are the real intelligence agency of 1776. Okay? We got to have our cameras, have our phones, heads up, and be tracking enemy operations everywhere. We see something, we say something. Just like Kurt Haskell exposed the government did the underwear bombing. He was later confirmed to be accurate. Our listener knew what to look for, and he was there, and he blew their operation wide open. That's what scares the enemy. Our people are everywhere. That's why they want to start shutting down internet freedom before they bring in the real tyranny. Well, guess what? You're not going to stop the signal. Our people are everywhere, including in the police agencies and the military, and that's what scares them. I'm going right back to calls, but David Knight, I want to get a 2-minute response from you on that rant.
I think you're absolutely right, Alex. I think we need to have a grassroots empowerment. They understand that it's very empowering for people to have weapons to protect themselves, but the way we typically see it is in Hollywood, where they portray it as criminally dangerous. And so people need to experience that, as you point out. But I think that as far as a legal framework, I don't think we're going to get anything from our people in the federal government. I think it's going to have to come at the state level with state nullification. It's going to have to come with jury nullification. People refusing to convict their fellow citizens for things that are not legitimate laws because they violate the Constitution. And people standing up and asserting their freedom as in the states, just as they have with the legalization of marijuana. They have stood directly against the federal government's mandates as far as marijuana, and that is standing because they first won the hearts and minds and the understanding of the people on marijuana. And they understand that it can be used medically, and they understand that it's being abused, and so they're shutting down the federal government. We need to understand that just like the war on drugs, the ammunition war is coming from the United Nations. They enact these agendas. The U.S. signs on with a treaty, and then 10 years later, we had the war on drugs begin.
No, exactly. In fact, we do timelines for people on the nightly news, because I know we all know this, our listeners know it, but it's always about the new viewer who are really targeting the new listener to try to free their minds. We're in a war for hearts and minds here, people. And I just got chills. This is so epic. We need to explain to people, they signed that UN treaty December 24th, and all hell broke loose, even though Congress and senators, what was it, 30-something senators, sent a letter to Obama threatening him with impeachment hearings if he signed that treaty. Well, he did it. We never hold him accountable because so much of Congress is paid off or they're blackmailed, and they're scared. They're scared. I mean, D'Souza is in prison right now, folks, for making a movie, basically. I mean, these people do not play games. People are like, yeah, Alex, they may get you. Well, they may. But, I mean, come on. We're fighting for the homeland. We're here. This is the Republic. This is real. This is 21st century warfare, folks. This is your chance to defend the Republic against a takeover. And I know there's ESPN and, other stuff to do, but this is real. We're being usurped. And when they usurp the public, they want the 320 million Americans. They want you as their slaves. You understand that? This is a criminal energy. All right, I'm going to race through calls now. Let's go to who's up next here. Let's talk to Chris in Minnesota. You're on the air. Thanks for holding. Okay, do we have that caller, guys?
Chris, go ahead.
Okay, he's not responding. We'll let Chris in Minnesota go. We'll shift gears now, and we'll go to Michael in Wyoming. Michael in Wyoming, you're on the air.
Yes. Hi, Alex.
Hi, and my callers are real low. Can the network feed me higher audio just to the callers? Go ahead.
Yes, Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. People need to understand the game we're playing here. Back in 1933, and I'll refer you to Representative Jim Traficant's comments for the Congressional Record that he made back in 1993 regarding the bankruptcy of this country back in 33. And we've been operated as a dictatorship, essentially under martial law, ever since then. The Constitution.
That's the War Powers Act of 1933 when Roosevelt took over.
Yeah, and they've continued to create phony emergencies year after year to keep that it going on in perpetuity. So, if it appears that they're trashing the Constitution, as I was listening to Dave yesterday and you today, folks, there is no Constitution. As Bush said, it's a GD piece of paper, and in their minds, it's history. They're going into collecting mode, as in the IRS, to collect what they consider to be a bankrupt nation, and basically they see you as slaves of the corporatized government. So, and the only law that really is in effect now is commercial law, since every one of these agencies, from the EPA down to your local county sheriff and your local courts, are all corporations